I'm a humor writer, but sometimes other words need to be said. We move through our time on this earth doing 1,000,010 things with 1,001 goals and tens of hundreds of to-do lists. But in our minds are bigger thoughts. I want to turn my kids into good people. I want to leave the world a little better than I found it. I want to touch someone's life. And often, in the cosmic humor that surrounds us, we raise amazing people, make things better, touch people in incredible ways, but don't know or never see. Sarah is one of my oldest and best friends. Kay, her mom, has cancer, a really bad kind. And while holding Sarah close while she cries in anger and fear, I've thought about her mom, whom I have known since I was 16, and it's incomprehensible to me to have a world without her in it. My adolescence was poor. Poor is a word, so let's use it. I don't care to discuss it much now, because that is not my life anymore, and I am grateful. But in this case, it's relevant, so I mention it. My adolescence was poor. And I spent a fair amount of energy coordinating escapes. And once I had my license and a car, escape I did, often and often to Sarah's. And although I didn't talk about much my motivations for finding somewhere else, it was evident that that's what I was doing. I was there a lot. Thinking back on it, I know now that there's no way that Sarah's parents could have extended the generosity it took to tolerate an extra teenager in their bathroom and their refrigerator without an awareness of why I was there. It was time to leave for college. Sarah, a year behind me in school, did her best to be excited for me while clearly dreading the day I would pack up my car and drive away. So both in my effort to find a safe haven and to spend as much time with Sarah as I could, I was at their house with an utterly predictable regularity. The weekend before I left, lounging on Sarah's couch while reading a book, Kay announced she had a going-away present for me. In her hands was a small white box tied with a ribbon. I was startled and touched, and I took the box and untied the bow. Inside the box, wrapped in tissue, were 3 pairs of outrageous red undies. I looked up at Kay, who said simply, "No woman should go off to college without red underwear." I stared at the bold, saucy underthings, and suddenly I was worldly. I was sophisticated. I was ready in as complete a way as I was capable of as an 18-year-old for whatever the world might throw at me. And that, obviously, is what Kay wanted me to have. I think so often these days about the time I spent safe at Kay's house and how many of the things about that time shaped the me that is here now. From Kay, I learned that food tastes better when served from heavy earthenware bowls than it ever will from dainty, delicate china. I learned that dancing with abandon is infinitely more joyous than dancing with style. And I learned that the me that is true and unfiltered will always be more interesting and more lovable than the one I put on purpose. I've told the story of the red underwear many times since it happened, but it occurred to me that maybe Kay didn't know the story from my point of view, or that she didn't know how precious the comfort of her home was to me as a lonely teenager. And I didn't want this to be one of those moments that gets lost in the universe's odd design, where someone might never know how deeply they touched a life. I wanted her to know. I wanted her to know that way back in the 80s, her gift of a safe, warm house helped make my present livable, and that her gift of racy lingerie made my future attainable. I originally wrote this a few months after Kay was diagnosed to make sure she got to read it, which she did. But Kay let go of her tether to this earth on October 8th, 2010, safe in the loving circle of her daughters and granddaughter. The only specific task that Sarah asked of me was to go to Victoria's Secret and select a pair of outrageous red underwear for Kay to dance into the afterlife in, which I was honored to do. If you don't have any red knickers in your lingerie drawer right now, go get some. If there's a woman in your life who needs bolstering, go buy her some. Every woman needs red underwear because there's not much we can't face if we're properly armored in a pair of audacious scarlet undies. Thank you.